At this point, we should just rename ourselves China, because the number of conflicts of interest that our Prime Minister Mark Carney has with China are truly shocking. China just announced that they're going to be implementing massive tariffs on canola producers in Canada. More damage to a West Coast that has already been crushed by these 35% tariffs that the supposed experienced international negotiator Mark Carney was not able to make any work on. The U.S. has announced major deals with the EU, getting the tariffs down to 15%, many countries reducing to zero, but Canada remains at 35% with this genius Carney doing our international negotiating. Now China announces massive tariffs on canola oil, and you know what the Canadian government does in response? We have announced that we are going to be building 3 ships, not in Canada, not domestically, where the citizens are struggling like never before, but we're going to build them in China. We're sending $1 billion over to China for them to build 3 ferries for Vancouver. It's truly shocking. It's shocking, and it had me thinking, well, why is this happening? Does Carney have any relationship with China? Guess what China invested in a couple of years ago? $250 million. Who'd have thunk it? Brookfield Asset Management. It's becoming more and more apparent to Canadians who dig deeper into this every day. Our current Prime Minister, Mark Carney, has so many conflicts of interest. He is more so the Prime Minister of Brookfield Asset Management than he is the Prime Minister of Canada. And this relationship with China just goes to show it. Again, no reporting from the CBC, CTV, any of the state news propaganda outlets on us sending $1 billion over to China. Meanwhile, them having spent $250 million with Mark Carney's former employer, Brookfield Asset Management. But it's so apparent that both in terms of the domestic policy realm as well as foreign policy realm, we are being controlled by a man who looks after his pocketbook first. You say, why are we allowing another million immigrants in the country in 2025 when 75% of Canadians are against it? Say we can't afford anymore. Our housing prices, our society can't withstand it anymore. Our healthcare system is in absolute shambles because we've let 8 million people in the country in the past decade. Now we say we're going to allow another million in, and Carney's not even tracking it public anymore. You want to know why? Brookfield Asset Management owns over $37 billion worth of assets in Canada. You need to keep pumping those numbers up. Since Trudeau allowed the floodgates to be open, and Carney was a senior advisor to Trudeau, since Trudeau opened the floodgates, look at the prices on our real estate in Canada, both in terms of our rental market as well as our housing market. They have exploded. So you look at why they're making that determination, despite the fact that 75% is overwhelming consensus, as you will get in Canadian politics, say no more immigrants. It's because Brookfield Asset Management stands to profit like you wouldn't believe. Carney's been so slow getting any national projects off the ground, despite the big talk he made during election season. The first major project that he is actually breaking ground on, prefab housing. What a coincidence. Brookfield Asset Management just purchased a company called Modular. What do? Prefab housing. You can connect so many of Carney's decisions as Prime Minister to the 587 relationships with businesses that he personally owns stock in. Already it's reported between 9 and 11 conflicts of interest on meetings that Carney has attended. He lied to us during the run-up to the election, saying he only owned real estate and personal cash. That's proven to be far from the case. And digging into this more and more, please, CBC, CTV, so-called Canadian news outlets that are more like propaganda outlets in Canada, do your goddamn job. Do some digging. Why exactly is it that the Canadian government is spending $1 billion in China? Why are we sending hundreds of billions of dollars overseas to Ukraine, to Gaza, at the same time that Canadians are struggling like never before due to these green policies that see Mark Carney and Brookfield Asset Management get rich as hell? Well, the standard of living in Canada continues to decline and decline. They treat us like a bunch of plebs and think we're not going to catch on to it. CBC should not be receiving another nickel of taxpayer money. They are a state propaganda outlet who receives $1.5 billion a year. It's embarrassing. Go look at their website. But any of you who are confused as to why we're sending $1 billion over to China, well, the answer is they spent $250 million with Brookfield Asset Management. And sorry, Canada, you don't have a prime minister. You have a man who's representing an elite global institution, spent his whole career at WF Davos. These are the interests that Mark Carney is looking out for. He's not looking out for the everyday Canadian. That much I can assure you. The man has not even set up, shockingly, I kid you not, he's been prime minister for months. He has not even set up a home office. If you try to contact Mark Carney, he does not have an office to write to. He's got to be the first prime minister in Canadian history to do that. He spits on us. He could give two damns about you. He thinks you're a little pleb who will sit down and take it, do what you're told. It's embarrassing. I've submitted applications to hold rallies on Saturday, September 13th and Saturday, September 27th because Canadians need to. We need to hit the streets. Clearly, polling does not move these people. They could give two damns what public sentiment is in this country. They think they're looking down their nose at every single Canadian. So we need to hit the streets. If you're interested in attending, shoot me a message. It's going to kick off on noon. Take Canada back, Canadian patriots out in the streets. God knows we've seen every other group out in the streets. It's about time Canadian patriots hit the streets. Saturday, September 13th, Saturday, September 27th, Parliament Hill. If you're interested in supporting the cause, hit the link in my bio. I have some great gear that you can grab, donate. Any money that comes in will go towards promotion throughout the Ottawa area over the next month or so, because I know there's a hell of a lot of patriots out there. We just need to get the word out and actually physically hit the streets, because like I said, making noise online clearly is not moving these people in any way. They are corrupt to the bone. It's time that Canadian patriots stood together and said no to corrupt Carney and the Liberal government that is selling us out every single opportunity they get.